this part 3 of Billy's dream, Dr. Barbara's going to explain why settings are so important in dreams. I know you probably have some weird places that your dreams end up, but they're important. And if you know how to interpret them, then you'll know what kind of mindset you have.
Okay.
But then you need to go to the restroom.
Yeah, I need to go to the restroom.
Which would be a place of elimination.
Yeah, and going back to their confusion, the feeling that I had in the dream about them confusing my right foot and left foot, I'm going like, can't y'all see which one is injured here? You know, I mean, you're looking at an old injury with a scar on one foot, you know, and you've got blood on my sock on the other foot, surely. And you saw my limping and everything, you know, so I was a little incredulous, you know, as to, okay, I've got the head doctor of emergency and another doctor, and why are they confusing this? You know, I couldn't understand that. But then when I asked them where the restroom was, because I had to go, the head doc said, quote, yes, go through those doors. And he pointed to some doors at the end of the hallway. There was a double door there. And it's the third door on your right. If you miss it, there's another one for the construction crew past that one. And both the doctors chuckled. And as I'm getting off to walk into those doors and they're laughing, I'm going, I was perturbed at their laughter, you know, and I put in here that I was perturbed about their comment and their chuckling. And in my head, as I walked out the door, I said, do you think I would have a problem finding the third door? And if I don't find it and have to use the construction workers' restroom, is that funny because you think it's second class? You know, and all this is going through my head as I'm walking out the door. So,
you know, I have a thought on that. Yeah, I have a thought on that.
Dr. Barbara's thoughts always blow me away. So let's listen to what she's got to say about Kundalini adolescent doctors. It's fascinating.
I have a thought on that. And the thought on it is linked actually to what I said earlier about the emergence of Kundalini and how it comes at what we call adolescence. And so the repartee between, in your mind, mostly between you and the doctors is, you know, one thing I see in that, if it was my dream, I would see that, you know, there's something about authority going on there, that the authority in my dream are acting like adolescents. This would be my perception of it. It may not be yours, but this would be mine.
No, I'll agree with that.
You know, that they're acting like, they're acting like teenagers, and like they know something that you don't know, and, you know, playing that kind of ego game, right? And so I would be looking back at myself with that in terms of how, where I put my authority is changing around. In other words, I would see it as I'm taking more authority for my own healing. And I think that's really highly significant in terms of the 3 doors. What do you make of the 3 doors? Have you identified what they are, or do you have an idea?
No,
Okay, now Barbara is going to explain to us and to Billy, what is the significance of 3 doors? Check it out.
No, the third door, I mean, the only thing I put down here in my notes was creativity, you know, being the number 3. The first 2 doors were just doors, you know, but when I went through that door, I go into a shopping mall. So it was not a hospital any longer. It was a shopping mall, which a shopping mall, you know, obviously is a building, which is a condition of mind. And a shopping mall, as I understand it, indicates investigation and assessment of value.
It's also universal mind. because they're all shopping malls have all kinds of products,
Okay.
all kinds of stores and all kinds of products. So you're not just dealing with your mind or with family's mind, that kind of thing. You're dealing, and not even just global mind, you're dealing with universal mind. In other words, you spoke about universal law. And so that's the level that you're dealing with in terms of commerce, which is valuing and assessing value, giving and receiving value. So you move from the healing. It's like, now I see you going deeper. I see you going into, okay, in order for the healing that you want to happen, this is what you need to do. And I have to bring this in because I don't want to miss it. I don't want to forget it. Because we have talked before, and because in our first group meeting, you had talked about the tinnitus that you deal with, and that part of your expectation, hope, is that Omkara, 108 days, that you will reach points of silence, and that you will reach a healing, really, with that. And so I see this dream in response to that, Billy. I mean, the third door is the door where most people just go into deep sleep, which is silence, because you just disconnect, right? So when you're disconnected like that, you don't hear anything, you don't see anything. It's like, it's almost as if you're dead, unless you dream. And there's a real beauty to the symbology in the dream being 3 doors. And then the the adolescent doctors joking about, well, if you miss that door, then you've got the construction, which is to say that you've got a doorway into, you can actually build it. In other words, it's kind of like that. What that would remind me of, if it's my dream, is that there are lots of ways to learn. There are relatively simple, easy, and gentle ways, and then there are hard ways. And the construction thing often is a symbol for me of the hard way. It's like the long way. It's like it's the brain way. It's exactly how it works and all that, which is valuable. And I've done a lot of that in my life, a whole lot of that. And part of what I've learned is that things really are easy and simple. They're not nearly as difficult as Barbara can make them. And so those are just some thoughts I have about that. I think.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I didn't make the connection of this dream to my desire to have experience silence again. Because I didn't bring that up to the group until our Wednesday night mastermind class, but I was thinking it during our first meeting on Sunday night, the night before this dream.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I can see that now.
And it is kind of like, another deeper layer you want to go with that, with the attitude of the doctors in the dream being adolescents, kind of like almost locker talk, almost, kind of flippant and whatever, competitive. With that being in place, there's a part of you that you're recognizing that isn't really concerned with the healing in a way that you thought it was. So part of this, what struck me when you were talking about it, is that some people like you who are well read and studied and practiced in consciousness development, you're aware of Eastern philosophies, you're aware of Om, you have you've read about it, you may have done other things with it, whatever. And so that there's a tendency for us to make authority out of that. And I think part of what the dream would be pointing out to me, if it was mine, would be that my idea and my experience and understanding of what I'm doing is going to radically change here. And so one way to put it is, I'm going to take back some of my power. instead of continuing to think that Om is something mystical and only monks can do it and gurus and that kind of thing. Well, the ones who practice are the ones who have authority. So it doesn't matter where you come from. And I know that this is not news to you, but it will be to other people maybe that are hearing this. It's like the authority comes from the investment of what work we put into anything. So like with the construction part, if you're going to be if you're going to head up construction, then the more experience you have, the better you are at that. You understand it. You know how to work with the materials, you know how to work with the people, you know how to get the job done and do it well. In a similar way that's true of anything. It can be true of cooking. It can be true of teaching children. It can be true of doing any kind of job in the world. The same thing is true with spiritual disciplines. The same universal laws apply. So it is the investment that we put into our lives that makes the authority that we have. So you've made an investment that you're going to work 108 days here. You're going to devote the time, the consciousness, most importantly, to what it is. And at the end of the 108 days, you're going to be different. Your sense of authority with it will be totally different than it is right now. So that's something else that I see in the imagery and in the way that you're describing the imagery.
Okay, I just want you guys to know that that man of mine loves icing. Be sure you watch the next part.